Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. Thomas Frank faces a huge test as Tottenham prepare for a tricky trip to Leeds. With fatigue, injuries, and rotation headaches, can Spurs stay unbeaten before the international break curse strikes again? Thomas Frank continues to shuffle his pack as Tottenham's matches keep coming at pace with Saturday's Premier League game at Leeds United. Spurs enter the Saturday lunchtime kickoff after returning from Norway and a fortunate scrambled draw at Bodo/Glimt in the Champions League on Tuesday night. Tottenham remain unbeaten since the last international break, but Frank is well aware of the pre-international break curse that has affected the North London club in recent years, with defeats in their past 7 matches in a row before the players have gone off to represent their countries. The Tottenham boss has captain Cristian Romero back in action after his contact injury in the draw with Wolves last weekend, and Xavi Simons, Destiny Udogie, Joao Palhinha and Mohamed Kudus are all likely to come back into the starting lineup after coming off the bench in Bodo. Frank will also have to make a decision on Richarlison because the Brazilian has had to play a lot of football despite his previous injury issues over recent seasons. Earlier this year, Spurs had injury issues after playing on the artificial turf at Tamworth in the FA Cup, and it could be that now is the time to give Richarlison a rest and not risk injuring him. That would mean Mathys Tel would come in up top for the trip to what will be a noisy Elland Road this weekend. Here's the team that we reckon Frank could select to face Leeds: 4-3-3, Vicario, Porro, Romero, Van de Ven, Udogie, Bentancur, Palhinha, Xavi, Kudus, Tel, Odobert. The agent of Spurs centre-back Radu Dragusin has claimed the Romanian defender will return to action within the next month. Tottenham have been without the 23-year-old, signed from Genoa in January 2024, for an initial £21.5 million, since the beginning of the year, when Dragusin ruptured his ACL in a 3-0 Europa League win over IF Elfsborg. Surgery was successful, however, and the player has been back out on the grass at Hotspur Way in recent weeks as he steps up his recovery. Romania boss Mircea Lucescu recently named Dragusin on his preliminary list of overseas stars, potentially in line for international call-ups for this month's upcoming matches against Moldova and Austria. But Lucescu has since claimed Spurs were not happy about the prospect of Dragusin being rushed back into the international fold, given he is yet to feature at club level. Speaking to Romanian outlet Digisport, Dragusin's agent Florin Manea has since clarified that his client is on the right track and could be back to feature for Spurs in the coming weeks. He said Radu is fine. I don't know if he will be approved to play, especially since he hasn't started full training at Tottenham. I'm glad he's on the list. The moment of his return is approaching. That it will be now or in a month at most. I think Radu will be 100% ready. There is no delay in recovery. The doctor told us that it's best to return from 8 months onwards. Radu will be 8 months from the operation in mid-October. On the contrary, he is ahead with his preparation. There have been players who have stayed for 12 to 13 months, but the idea is not to rush. It is normal to feel Radu's absence from the team. There is no replacement for him. He plays at the level he plays at, and there is a big difference between what is played in England compared to other sides. It is impossible to replace Radu Dragusin at the moment. Speaking ahead of the 1-1 draw with Wolves, Thomas Frank revealed Dragusin was progressing well, and added that his return was not too far off. The Dane said he is progressing well. He's been on the grass for 3 weeks or something like that, so he's progressing well, as he should do. We all know coming back from an ACL is a longer one, so it's on track. It will be some weeks before he's involved in the squad. Spurs are certainly not short of options at the heart of defence. When fit, captain Cristian Romero and Mickey van de Ven are virtually undroppable, but Kevin Danso and Dragusin are both adequate stand-in replacements. Luka Vuskovic and Kota Takai also remain big talents for the future. Ange Postecoglou is facing a real fight to keep his Nottingham Forest job following a disastrous start to life at the City ground. The Aussie replaced Nuno Espirito Santo as the new Reds head coach last month, but he has since failed to win any of his opening 6 matches in charge across all competitions. Forest were beaten 3-2 at home to FC Midtjylland in the Europa League on Thursday, and there were chants of "you're getting sacked" in the morning. after the Danish side scored their third goal. Loud boos were also audible at the full-time whistle, and the reaction of the Forest fans has triggered alarm bells behind the scenes. Indeed, according to the Telegraph, Postecoglou's position on Trent's side is already in doubt, just 24 days into his tenure. With owner Evangelos Marinakis growing concerned by results and performances, although it is considered that Sunday's trip to Newcastle United is a tough fixture. It is said another poor showing and defeat could end with Postecoglou getting the sack and having the shortest ever Premier League reign. Marinakis is the man that will make the final decision, while he will seek the opinion of Chief Football Officer Ross Wilson and former Arsenal chief Edu Gaspar, who became Forest's global head of football earlier this year before clashing with Nuno. Despite the uncertainty around Postecoglou's future, Forest are still understood to be fully focused on the game against Newcastle and are determined to support the ex-Tottenham head coach right now. Postecoglou has picked up 2 draws and lost 4 times since becoming Forest's new head coach on September 9th. He started off with a 3-0 defeat at Arsenal before losing again, this time at Swansea City in the Carabao Cup. 2 positive performances and results followed, as Forest went up to Burnley and drew 1-1 before then heading to Seville and claiming a well-earned 2-2 draw against Real Betis. It felt as though Postecoglou and Forest might have turned a corner after an encouraging display against Betis, but back-to-back losses at home to Sunderland and Midtjylland have turned up the heat. Speaking after Forest lost its first European home game in 29 years, Postecoglou said, "Really disappointing. Just really poor goals we conceded in the first half that again allow the opposition to get comfortable in the game, and it's been the story of our last few games. Key moments, let ourselves down. We knew the threat they provided. It wasn't anything organisationally. It's just in those moments we haven't shared the same desire and determination as the opposition. Spurs under pressure." Xavi Simons blasted. Mason explains exit, and Oscar reveals why he snubbed Tottenham. Thomas Frank's Tottenham Hotspur will look to bounce back from some poor results when they face Leeds United in Saturday's early kickoff. New recruit Xavi Simons has been blasted for these recent performances. João Palhinha rescued a point for Spurs when they last were in Premier League action. His perfectly placed strike in added time against Wolves salvaged a 1-1 draw. Spoils were shared once again on Tuesday when Frank's side travelled to Norway in the Champions League. An inspired Bodo Glimt took a commanding 2-0 lead, but a finish from Mickey van der Ven and an own goal from the opposition's goalkeeper clawed back a point once more. Daniel Farke's Leeds are their next opponents. Mirror Football brings you all the latest news from the white half of North London, including new signing Simons coming under fire, an ex-Chelsea star's telling admission, and the reason behind Ryan Mason's Spurs exit. Brazilian star Oscar arrived in the Premier League 13 years ago when he signed for Chelsea in a £25 million deal from International. He made 200 appearances for the club under various managers, proving to be a valuable midfield asset while winning 2 league titles and the Europa League. The turned heads in 2016 when he accepted a move to the Chinese Super League. Oscar penned a lucrative 4-year deal with Shanghai Port after transferring for an estimated £60 million. Speaking to former teammate John Obi Mikel on his The Obi-Wan podcast, Oscar has now revealed that before he moved to West London, he was approached by Spurs. The 34-year-old, who still plays in Brazil for São Paulo, admits Chelsea were the better choice. "I had Tottenham as well, because Andre Villas-Boas was there," he said. "Villas-Boas was the first one to call me. I played under Villas-Boas in China, and he always said, 'I talked to you, why didn't you come?' But, Chelsea, I cannot compare. Chelsea is better, so I chose Chelsea, and it was the right choice." Dutch international Simons completed an opposite move to Oscar's this summer when he touched down in North London, despite being heavily linked with a switch to Stamford Bridge. Simons cost Spurs £51 million, and while he is still finding his feet in English football, some have been quick to jump the gun and doubt his abilities. Former Aston Villa striker Gabby Agbonlahor voiced his concerns on TalkSport after Tottenham's 2-2 draw against Bodo/Glimt. "Simons, I'm not sure about," Agbonlahor stated. "It's early on, we don't want to judge players after 5-6 games, but I'm really not sure about him." No, sometimes you see a player and you're like, oh, okay, I like him, yeah, I like what he's about. But I watch Simons and I'm like, oh, he's on the floor. He doesn't seem rapidly quick when I watch him as well. Boyhood Tottenham star Mason had been associated with the club from the age of 8 before he waved goodbye to become West Bromwich Albion manager this summer. He played for Spurs from 2008 to 2016 and served as interim head coach on 2 separate occasions while acting as an assistant under multiple managers. The 34-year-old, who was forced to retire in 2018 after suffering a severe head injury, has now spoken out about leaving the club after their Europa League success in Bilbao. In the last 12 months, I had the desire to go out on my own, and it felt like the time was right, Mason told Sky Sports. I spoke to Ange Postecoglou, and he advised me it needs to feel right, and when it does, go for it. I spoke to some clubs in the last 12 months, but nothing felt right. The way the season ended in Bilbao with Spurs was amazing. When I understood West Brom Albion were interested, it felt right. It's a massive club with great history and impressive people. I felt a real alignment and connection straight away.